This is a video for section 8.5. It's on isosceles trapezoids. So we know that trapezoids have one pair of parallel sides. Those are called the bases. The other sides that aren't parallel are called the legs. If the legs of a trapezoid are congruent, we're going to call this trapezoid an isosceles trapezoid. So notice how this leg and this leg are marked as being congruent. This is an isosceles trapezoid, and this is exactly what it looks like. Theorem 8.14 tells you that each pair of base angles in an isosceles trapezoid is congruent. So remember, we have two bases, so that means there's two pairs of base angles. So these are base angles for the top base. They need to be congruent. Notice how angle D and angle E are obtuse angles. Angle G and angle F are base angles along the bottom base. Those are the acute base angles. If you know one angle measure, let's just say that this is 60, you can figure out every single other angle measure. Obviously, the other acute base angle is going to match it, so it's 60 degrees. Remember what we talked about in the other video. If this angle is 60, this angle needs to be its supplement because these are consecutive interior angles along parallel lines. And if that's 120, then this one's 120. Okay, base angles match, base angles match. The ones that are not along the base add up to 180. Here's an example. We have a trapezoid with congruent legs. That's an isosceles trapezoid. So that means this base has a pair of congruent base angles, and this base has a pair of congruent base angles. Now the base angles up here are obviously obtuse. The ones down here are acute, so they can't be the same. So the acute ones are 64 degrees, and then the obtuse ones would be 180 minus that. It'd be 116. This next example is the same type of problem. The only difference is there's no picture. The measure of one angle in an isosceles trapezoid is 48. Find the measure of the other three angles. If it helps you, you can draw a picture. I'm trying to draw my best isosceles trapezoid. I'm going to put these parallel marks on here so you know the top and bottom are parallel. Those are the bases. If it's isosceles, then these legs are congruent. The measure of one angle is 48 degrees. So I'm going to make sure I put the 48 in one of the acute angles. Remember, since it's an isosceles triangle, those base angles match the two acutes. The two obtuses match also, but they don't match the acute ones. So this angle and this angle are supplementary, remember. So this angle will be 132. That way these add up to 180. Okay, so those are the measures of the other three angles.